What is up? Welcome to a new episode of the Time Lock podcast. Today we want to talk about focus, we want to talk about productivity because we both felt very productive in the last few days and we just wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, productivity is a huge thing in today's time of age, and was, I mean, all the years before, but now it's so valuable to be productive. If you can be productive and not just for, I don't know, for 1 hour, to be productive for 1 hour is valuable. If you can, just get into deep work, that's cool. But if you can, fulfill deep work and be productive, I don't know, 4 hours at a time, you're ahead of I'm gonna say everyone at this point, because it's so hard to resist small things like messages on your phone, to you have cravings like going to the toilet, or eating from time to time, and even these small things can break your productivity and break your deep work. And deep work is connected with productivity. If you're doing deep work, you're being obviously productive. And what does deep work essentially mean is, as with productivity, you have a exponential curve that is going up every second, every minute that you're being in the work and you're being productive. You're getting more concentrated. See when you for instance read a book, and in the beginning it's maybe hard for you sometimes to concentrate really just on the book, to not have thoughts about any other stuff, sometimes you have to reread stuff even, and after 10 minutes you're locked in the book, right? So I'm receiving some messages on my phone. This also is a real
focus breaker.
This is also just background noise that can disturb you easily from being productive. So we've talked about we were so productive this week. So what is essentially productive, and what makes you productive?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it makes me productive that when I work on something for maybe 5 minutes, then I get into the flow, and then it really gets me productive. But also the fact that I can have something like a routine. Like if I say, for example, okay, I make a, I don't know, 1 hour or half an hour to 1 hour coding session every evening, then it's much much easier for me to code every evening and get some stuff done. Or when I come home from training, I will record a video for my channel, which is often what I do on Saturdays, to record the videos for Sunday. So yeah, it's just habits or just routines like that just make me personally more productive, and I think that's one of the things that are very important if you want to feel productive. Again, this is not like a guide to be productive, this is just our experiences with productivity, of course.
At this point, we're mentioning the obvious, we're putting out the obvious, being productive. What is this? But have you ever noticed the difference? We've talked about this a bit in other episodes, but have you ever noticed the difference between actually being in the moment and actually getting work done, being productive, and feeling productive? When you, and this was at the very beginning of this whole self-improvement productivity bullshit, when I didn't schedule my day, I didn't have a plan for my day, I didn't have a to-do list, although this is or has become essential for me today. What I use is I don't on putting or noting things down on my phone, because this is all just a distraction. And on your phone it's you're really fast to just swipe to Instagram, or swipe
just
to
slip away and do something,
any other app. So I prefer paper, and I've been on the phone for some time. I've used Notion, but I feel the best thing you can do for the to-do lists and to actually track how productive you are is on paper. So I've discussed with you being productive and feeling productive, and oftentimes I felt productive although I wasn't. I didn't have a plan, I didn't have a to-do list as I do right now, And it was just the feeling of getting one thing done, and getting like a reward of some sort. Like you do like, I don't know, half an hour of studying, half an hour of math, and then you go on Insta for, I don't know, 2 hours. It's like over exaggerated, but you still feel productive, although you've been like 2 hours on Insta, and I mean there's even worse cases, but although you've been 2 hours on Insta, you've also did 30 minutes of math, and this is kind of what I like to call like the productivity trap. That people think they're productive,
but they're actually not.
But actually not.
Yeah, maybe they are productive in comparison to their normal habits, but I mean it's not really being productive if we are like, if you just study for like 30 minutes and then you go as a reward, you go to Instagram. I mean, you kind of break your focus instantly, and then you also kind of mess with your brain, so you don't really get to memorize the stuff you studied. So it's actually not really a reward. You're just it's just a foot gun to go ahead and then swipe after you studied like directly. And I mean for me, not every evening, but I journal. I journal every evening, and on many days I actually write down I was productive. But now that we are actually talking about it, I'm just feeling like, maybe it's not even always true that I was really productive. It's just that they felt productive.
You gotta be honest with yourself. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I mean the first step of being more productive is actually, like I said, just realize that you're just feeling productive and not like being really productive at all. So this drives into the right direction. And for me personally, I still like to track some of my things on my phone, just because I have my phone with me all the time.
If you can control yourself, that's up to you, right? I'm just saying for me, it's like I'm like the prime example. I can really control myself. I have trouble, but I'm like I'm really extreme with this. Either I don't do this at all, and I don't have a potential distraction, or I do this and then get caught into these apps and stuff. But what you can do in this case, if you struggle maybe with the same issue, is to just either delete every app on your phone that makes you addictive and breaks productivity, or to clutter up your phone a bit. I've seen there's some people like doing to-do lists on their home pages, and they're just like opening their phone.
They're crazy setups for home screens. I've seen them. They're crazy. What
I've wanted to ask you is, do you think productivity is subjective or objective?
I think productivity is actually subjective, in my opinion. I mean, I really think it depends on like how you look at it. I mean, I think itself productivity probably has like different meanings for different people, right? And I think then productivity itself is also kind of subjective. I mean, there are broadly probably many people who have the same idea about productivity in general, but I still think it's mostly subjective. What do you think?
I'd say we've talked about this Instagram math productivity thing, right? And we've said no, it's not productive to do 30 minutes of math and then 2 hours of Instagram. I mean, I feel like it depends, of course, it depends always, but it can be productive because if you prioritize Instagram, and I don't mean like Instagram Reels or this distracting stuff. If you have you have to get something done on Instagram. Let's say what I do sometimes is I do research on Instagram.
For videos or
for inspiration, for lots of things, and this can also be in and of itself productive. But I feel like there's no reason to talk about this because most of the people that are on Instagram aren't
or they are not productive, let's face it. I mean,
it's kind of sad almost, but we've talked that productivity and deep work are connected, and as I've said, there is like a curve to it, like an exponential curve, that if you just start once you start, it's gonna go exponentially high, your productivity levels and your deep work concentration all bonded together into this very moment. We've talked about like reading, right? You get like so concentrated that you can even imagine the book or imagine the story in your head, right? You can't do that if you just start reading. So this is a huge thing and really valuable thing also. And let's just go away from like this theoretical stuff and deep work and stuff, and let's just talk about like saying no into your day-to-day life. And I feel like this is underappreciated. Don't you think?
I think as well, yeah. And I mean, many of us, especially I think in modern society, probably, all of us want to be people pleasers, so we just don't want to say no. We just want to say yes to like everything, like, oh, you want to hang out? Yes, of course. Let's go eat some burger, or I don't know. No offense to burgers, of course. Burgers are nice. But like, people struggle with saying no, and I mean, like, I do this myself. Like, my friends are very valuable for me, and sometimes I can say no to specific offers. So yeah, what do you think?
I feel like, this is one of the things, as with productivity and as with all the things we reflect on this episode and this podcast, it isn't a thing you get taught. It is just a thing that you have to learn yourself. And at the end of the day, if you don't learn this and you don't learn this properly, you get stuck in this people pleasers attitude, and slowly you're kind of destroying your life almost because of this. Because think about it, it's just the same with noise, right? You're getting distracted by having to do things for people. If you say yes, you're subconsciously committing to someone, essentially, although you don't have to always. And I catch myself just saying yes way too much times, although I don't have to, and of course you don't have to search for a deep meaning in every opportunity you are given. What I mean by this is maybe really interesting phrasing, but what I mean by this is, let's say you go to a hangout, or you're planning a hangout, or it's spontaneous, and you have to get something done. I'm gonna take me as an example because I've experienced this a lot of times actually, and it's just one of the things that I catching myself in the act saying yes, although I shouldn't. Editing one of my videos, for instance, or editing, just doing research, or sometimes even worse, kind of in the process, but I get distracted and I lay on my bed and I know I have to do this thing, right? But then I get this invitation to go outside to hang out, and I know deep down I have to work, or I have to do some stuff to achieve what I want to achieve, right? And it was really interesting of you to say editing is a hobby, editing is a thing I like to do. I feel like this is the case, but with editing, I feel like it's just like a byproduct of being a content creator. It's just one of these things that I don't feel like it's enjoyable. The process at the end, when you like at the last minute of your cut, it's really enjoyable because then you have your end product and you look at it a couple of times. Cool, it's almost, I can't think of any good analogy except from making a baby because waiting so long and then it eventually happens. Guys, I'm not the analogy master. But I hope you get my point with editing, right? But where I was talking about this, my hangout issue. I'm sitting there and I have to do something, and I'm sitting on reels, or I'm sitting just not being productive. Sometimes I catch myself planning things instead of actually doing them,
Yeah.
And deep down, I know I have to do them, but consciously, I'm just sitting there and doing my stuff. Like I'm planning, and planning is not doing.
Yeah. Important detail.
Planning is not doing. That's a crazy statement. It's just like planning becomes the second distraction.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the point is that planning, and I think also telling people your plans, they already give so much dopamine, I think, that it almost feels like it's not really necessary to complete
do the thing.
the task or do the thing or whatever, right? So I think this is what is actually the case. So this is why planning is not bad, but like you should have a roadmap, right? What you want to do, but like you also need to fulfill you also need to complete your plans. And actually, what you said is about editing. I think it's very interesting because I on Twitter I saw this, or now X, I don't care. I saw this post. I don't know what kind of post it was. And it was about, and it said the way to heaven feels like hell, and the way to hell feels like heaven.
Yeah, you're like motivational.
Yeah. It sounds very motivational, but like at the deep end of this quote or whatever it is, I don't even know it's a quote or whatever. I think lies some truth because, like you said, like editing, the process is very sorrow. It's hell. Yeah, but then the product you get is heaven, like most of the time, or
it's most of the time. It's just rewarding feeling at the end of the day. Whether your editing was not so good, but at the end of the day you're done and you feel rewarded because you went through hell. It's the same thing because editing is hard to relate for some people.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as with, let's say, running, or the same thing as with doing your homework, or the same thing as with clocking in that office at in the morning and actually walking out of that office at Friday night. It's the same thing. You're going kind of through hell, things you have to get done, but you don't want to do, and it's just adversity, right?
Yeah.
And when you've done adversity, when you've overcome it, it feels like heaven. And
it's like mostly true for all of the things. Like then the analogy for heaven would be like I'm scrolling on Instagram or whatever, or whatnot. Like this feels like heaven, it feels great, like videos and memes and funny things.
I want to add something to this, and to make it a bit more apparent, because I love these quotes and they always sound good on paper and if they're being said, but if you try to implement this, oftentimes it just ends up being inspirational and ends up being motivational, and motivation is not something that is at the beginning of starting something.
Yeah.
Motivation is when you've done that thing. And motivation is what you get. It's like it's like the reward. So I find your analogy really interesting, and I've said it that motivation, is a thing that comes at the end. But what I've talked about with no one, I've talked about this with myself. I just thought it, I was thinking about that every positive dopamine intake and every positive emotion has a equal negative emotion that you someday will experience. Like I have a couple of analogies here, right? Let's say the emotion of pure love, right? Pure love, it's like such an interesting emotion because it's so much of it kind of interacts with every atom of your body almost. And you get, butterflies in your... no. It's the same in German.
I mean, butterflies in your...
Butterflies in your belly.
Stomach, I don't know.
Comment down below if you know this, if you know this one,
definitely.
if you know what I mean. But you're getting like tingles. ASMR. You're getting all tingling and stuff and all excited from love. And these are mainly positive emotions. And I feel like always.
Yeah.
But then they have a and all of the love that you've been experiencing, all of the positive emotions that you've been experiencing, turn someday into negative emotions. Whether it's a breakup, whether it's
just a heartbreak, like a normal.
Yeah, breakup, heartbreak, or a discussion that is very heated, that can lead to a heartbreak, or let's say scrolling. I feel like the most popular example on our podcast is you get this heaven-like or positive feeling from scrolling, and then when you...
And I mean, the same can be probably said about scrolling, because when you're scrolling or while you're scrolling, you actually feel very good, you feel very positive. And, sorry, we just had a little crash out. But after that,
Okay, bro. Looking.
Okay.
Sometimes, guys, when it's getting funny, heated, you get demotivated or disturbed from initial thinking what you have to do. Just take 3 deep breaths. Okay, come on, 3 deep breaths. Always helps.
Yeah. Okay, so what we wanted to say is that scrolling, a typical topic on our channel or on our podcast, is you feel great while you're scrolling, but soon after you stop scrolling, the regret starts kicking in, I guess. That's what we wanted to say.
Yeah.
Right? The regret, and it's just like, fuck, why did I do this? I just spent so much time. And like, most of us are aware that we did this, but like, we just feel regret and don't take any action.
It's sad that it's always the same, and it's almost like we're like rats that are being always trapped in the same way, or animals that kind of have that are inferior to us and are lower than us, and we've laugh at them. Oh, they're so stupid, they can't comprehend this. But at the same time, we're trapped. Also,
Yeah.
As with, let's say, harsh example, but hamsters, they're trapped in, okay, well, not trapped, but if you have them at home, they're just trapped, and with lots of animals, it's just not really fair to the animals to trap them in this cage. We can take like examples. I'm not going to take dog, cat, because it's not really fitting. They're also kind of trapped.
Yeah. But like in
snakes,
a zoo, for example.
Yeah, zoo is like the most harsh or the most sad example to this. Kind of also fatal what is happening to the animals, because they're experiencing depression and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing essentially the same thing, but we the only difference between us and the animals is that our cage is invisible.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really see an algorithm, for example, or you can't really see. Do you mean like these kind of things, like algorithms, like they keep us trapped? Like in my opinion, like in my opinion, like algorithms are the stuff that are keeping us mostly like trapped in, like, for example, YouTube or on Instagram or whatever. And so I think these are our cages that are like keeping us trapped.
I love like this theoretical Shakespeare talking, and it kind of is funny because I find the things you are saying right now sort of funny, and I have like this instant spark that I have to laugh at this, because this is not the things we should be talking about, and not our age. And that's what we're also talking about in previous episodes, but it's just always repeating, right? Because it's always the same things that we have to face. It's always the same day. It's always the same experience.
Yeah.
And as much as I like to talk this way, I kind of get reminded that it is unusual for teens or generally, us to have like this sort of discussions publicly. I feel like private is a whole nother place, a whole nother environment to talk about this, but it's not getting taken very seriously. And when you take it seriously, you get laughed at most of the times, and there are not many people that do like understand and relate and respect this.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people understand the stuff we're saying, and it's not hard at the end of the day. It's easy to notice that we're all caged up in some way.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, you know, escape. And I always, I now already, I catch myself kind of laughing about this in my head, but it's not really just something we have to laugh at. I have lots of people that, for instance, one friend of us, he's been kind of really tweaking the last time, kind of really goofy and too much on Insta Reels. And he's been like one of these people, and lots of people, I'm gonna say especially Instagram, but I feel like every platform.
Yeah, also TikTok and all whatnot, yeah.
There are lots of youngsters making this motivational content, and you can even compare them to us. The only difference to us is I feel like we're doing actually something instead of the other youngsters, because oftentimes what they try to do is you know, copy paste certain schemes like selling course, teach some things that are already out there, but they're just, you know, always with that same script in their videos.
I mean, they only want attention, right? They just want to make clicks with their motivational things because it actually feels good to hear such motivational quotes, motivational videos, and so people follow them, and then they get more and more and more, and then it feels
more
great,
and more
right?
reach, and then they can. But at the end of the day, if you're taking this seriously, even as a small teenager, the thing I wanted to talk about specifically is these small 13-year-olds that don't get any respect. I feel like the only people, and this is kind of ironic, not ironical, but this is the, you know, the beauty.
Yeah.
The only thing, or no, not the only thing, the only people that respect these small entrepreneurs, self-made entrepreneurs, are the people that have the same struggles, are also entrepreneurs, and the same kind of people that went through the same struggle. And this is kind of beautiful and sad at the same time, because you don't get the respect by your friends. I feel like you know what friend I'm talking about. He sent me this one video, and he was kind of pointing out the comments, and the comments were like, if I swear, if I hear another time the word young entrepreneur and stuff, and bro, shut your bitch. You know. And I feel like it's funny to look at these comments, but it's also funny to see what is going on in their lives of the people that are actually commenting this stuff. And oftentimes, when you're in such a position that you also get stuff done, you're productive, you have your life in order, you oftentimes don't need to hate others.
No.
Right?
Yeah, the judging or the judgmental side of people is just...
It's just negativity.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious, but it's not obvious always.
And I mean, most of the things that people are judging about, I've also realized that people that are judging, they're jealous. And this sounds like very generic, right? This sounds like every people saying, yeah, the haters, they are just jealous. But it actually is kind of true. Like, mostly if you're judging, you are judging because it kind of reminds you of yourself. Like, for example...
Let's take, like, relationships.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say your friend... And let's not take us into the picture. Let's take an analogy with couples and best friends. Let's say we have two best friends, and this is imaginary. So let's say we have two best friends, and then one of the best friends finds a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Then we have this couple, and we have the third wheel. We have still the two best friends, but one of them is now in a relationship. And actually... If we're putting this way, I have this example from also one of my friends. So he's in a relationship with this girl, and the friend is really jealous from the beginning on. And I feel like this is mostly jealousy, whether he's jealous that this girl is really beautiful, or whether he's jealous that he doesn't have a relationship. It could be lots of factors, but at the end of the day, some kind of really human thing in him tells him to hate. And one thing is to show this hate, to say this, and the other thing is just to keep it for yourself and work on yourself to actually destroy this hatred, you know, that's deep in you. That's also part of human nature, sadly. But as with everything, if there's no good, there's no if there's good, there has to be some bad, right? So this seems to be pretty logical. Do you have like another analogy? Because I feel like this is maybe not the best one. Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, appearance maybe. Like I get this feeling that sometimes people, or even I myself, see someone and something bugs me about their appearance. Like, for example, their hair doesn't sit right or something like that, you know? Like, there's just something that I see on their appearance that is not really comforting with my brain. And oftentimes these are, if you think about them, these are just things that you experience yourself from time to time. So for example, if their hair doesn't sit right and you see like, oh my god, this looks so ugly or something like that, it's mostly, or it can be, a factor that you yourself don't have good hair all the time as well. And so you start to feel better in making the other person like worse, you know? You start to be like, he has so bad hair and this makes me better because I have also bad hair, but his hair is worse. Maybe that's not really a good analogy, but that's just a thing that
sometimes
from day to day that I realize.
Sometimes the hair from the opposite or the other can be really bad. It's like a factual, but sometimes it's just you judging, and at this point you're just kind of biting your own hand. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry for this podcast. This was a bit of a messy, cluttery like podcast, but it's just the nature of being young, unexperienced, and dumb.
Yeah,
Frankly,
just kind of talk about everything and then go from subject to subject. So it's kind of normal.
If you see us in a year, we're gonna be at a whole nother point of our career and whatnot.
So subscribe now so you can see us then. The setup changed a bit again. I feel like the setup changes or not the setup, but like the camera setup and stuff. The audio is always the same, but the camera always changes a bit. But I think this is kind of what we're working with probably for the next few episodes. And yeah, we hope you liked it. See you next time. Bye.